I call this meeting, September's SID meeting, to order. As everybody knows, this is a first for me. So please, I'm not that familiar with Robert rules and stuff like that. I'll try to do the best I can, okay? Can we have oh, Ron says he would love to be here, but he's got COVID and he didn't want to spread it amongst you. So let's have a moment of silence for all those. Okay, on our video screen over there we have our lawyers, Grant Cox and Joey Price. Okay, I need have you all reviewed the minutes from the last two meetings?
Yes.
Okay, I need motions to accept the minutes from the
Make a
special
motion
meeting.
that we accept the meeting from minutes from the past meeting.
Okay, we got a special meeting on the 7th that this one needs to go for.
One right now, yes. I need a second.
Okay, I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries.
And then the same thing for the meeting on the 12th, and the regular scheduled meeting on the 19th, please.
On the 22nd.
20,
Yeah,
Yes.
August
I
22nd.
need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion we approve those minutes. August the 22nd.
Second? Need a second?
yeah.
Vote to approve?
Yay.
Okay, that's done.
Y'all try and use your microphones.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it up? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get it up here. Okay, on to old business. Oh, by the way, this is going to be fast tonight because I'm ready for some football. Just kidding. We'll take our time and do it right. Okay, old business. Under under the agenda, we have update employee policies and procedures. This was one of Ron's babies, and he told me he'll review it next month. Okay, so we're just going to skip over that. Do we have anything from Jeff Klein on the lake conditions or anything?
I didn't ask Jeff to attend the meeting tonight, but he did come back and give us a proposal for Cherokee Lake. Originally, he proposed a $1,600 chemical treatment, and he was unable to get the chemicals. He waited and waited. They never came in. He's come back with a $1,460 two treatment, a chemical treatment followed by a pellet treatment. I approved that through the $10,000 we had set in our budget for the lakes. He wasn't able to get it done before today, but he will get it done quickly because he does have those chemicals.
So Cherokee is going to be treated.
Cherokee's going to be treated, smallest lake, least amount of movement, biggest issue in complaints.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, under C, under old business, Betty Stokes, you want to address us, please?
Last month, I appeared before you and asked that you...
Push the little blink button. There you go. You're good now. You did it.
I appeared last month before you about some land at the animal shelter and had asked for you to donate it. Tim Lee turned me down, and so I want to revisit this issue and ask that all of you have an input into this. Meanwhile, we talked about a lease, and that is not going to work. The donor and the overseer of that property and wants us to own the property before we can make any improvements. So I want you to reconsider the issue. And also, you have maps, and I think that Betsy gave you. That land was once a equestrian center that Cooper established. It was bankrupt, and the land went back to SID. That's how you acquire the land. And you can see it's parceled off. And in the middle, you see the animal shelter. We measured it. It's just under 3 acres, but sitting in a 10-acre parcel. And my other comment is, I don't think anybody's going to go out there and build on that property since it's right across from the waste connection. So I just ask for you to reconsider the issue. If you have questions, Steve Thompson here, who's also the overseer of the project. See if I have questions.
Steve, where are you?
Microphone.
You want to step up to the microphone, please?
Yes, sir.
Our concern is administrations change, correct?
I'm sorry.
Administrations change at the city, correct?
Yes.
So what happens in 2 to 4 years from now? They say they don't want to fund the animal control. What happens then?
Okay, that's a good question. And of course, the city could make the same statement on a lease situation that the administration of SID can change, which indeed over the last year and a half, there's been quite a bit of change. So the issue that we have here is that the property, when it came back to SID, and the city subsequently then chose that location to establish and put in a lot of leasehold improvements to the property for the purpose of animal control as well as animal shelter. So the city of Cherokee Village is a little unique in that there's a combination, a kind of dual purpose here. You oftentimes will have in a city animal control, which is primarily acquiring an animal, posting that animal for a period of time, and then disposing of that animal. And what you've had over the years is much more of a humane society type of a combination where the animals are provided for, they're housed, and there's a great effort to have them adopted out, as well as spay and neutering and so forth. In addition, that a lot of the community may not be aware of is there's a large number of residents that donate both financial support as well as in-kind donations. Everything from cat food, dog food, to kitty litter, cages and so forth, and a lot of volunteer hours. So over time, there are people that have planned for in their estate to make bequests to the animal shelter specifically for that. It so happens that there are 2 trustees right now that are overseeing a fairly decent sized estate, and so that instead of just Band-Aids, they can actually address some of the real needs out there. There are problems with the septic system. The cat house is in need of probably close to bulldozing. And so it's significant enough that the city has to really seriously consider the example of if you had a piece of property next to any property that you own, and you were considering putting a garage or a shop, something to house an RV or a boat or something of that nature, before you would go spend money on that, if you didn't own it, you would attempt to acquire that property. Because if you simply rent it, if your neighbor says, well, hey, I don't want to sell that to you, but I'll rent it to you or I'll lease it to you for a period of time, then any leasehold improvement that you do to that property would belong to that property owner. And most people, and I'm in the advisory business, and so this has been my advice to Betty and those that are supporting this project. My advice is that you should try to own the property in whatever manner that is deemed appropriate. And so, in that respect, right now, you have a property that had little or no value to begin with. The city has, over time, done quite a bit of leasehold improvement already, but before they take this next step, which would be fairly significant, relative to just, again, Band-Aid, the city really needs to consider that either that 2 or 3 acres be acquired very economically, or to move to another location and possibly relocate some of the leasehold improvements. And that's really what it's boiled down to. So our understanding in sitting back and waiting, when I say our, I'm talking about mine as a financial advisor and the 2 trustees of these 2 estates, are waiting for a resolution of this they have expressed that they don't want to have these donation dollars go to a location that just simply has a long-term lease. And so for the audience, I mean, I believe it was a relatively low-cost lease, and previously it was offered to extend that lease for a longer period of time. Again, that is something that I personally and professionally wouldn't recommend. Next question?
Susan, you got any questions?
No.
Joe?
Nope.
Joey,
Yeah, that,
can y'all hear any questions that you would have or any statements you would have about us possibly donating land to the animal shelter for Cherokee Village?
Prepared to discuss tonight, not an issue that I was aware of.
Yeah, and Betsy, we probably want to do some research on
Okay.
that, just because of the assets of the SID, whether you're even allowed to donate that for a specific purpose, and within the bounds of the purpose of the SID.
Okay.
ask him how long that would take, because
Yeah.
they're on a time frame
What kind of
themselves.
time frame are we looking at? They potentially could lose their funding if we can't expedite this pretty quickly. We talked about this at the last month's meeting. That's where the long-term lease came in that they were mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, we could probably have somebody prepare whether it's capable of being, donated or something to that effect, probably within a week to 2 weeks, have someone look at it and get a memo out. Maybe even sooner than that. Wouldn't you say, Joe?
Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, and the other issue to maybe address,
What's the deadline on the funding?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
What's the deadline on the funding? When will they lose funding if they don't make a decision? What's that deadline?
Well, I know that at least one, if not both, trusts are trying to conclude during the calendar year for tax purposes. And so, given that you only have a meeting once a month, it doesn't leave a lot of months, left for that. So, I don't know, when somebody sits back and says, well, you can't donate, well, what can you do? Because, again, as Betty mentioned,
my question was, can we purchase it for a small amount? Maybe I can go out and raise money someplace to buy whatever we can, if the donation word is not appropriate. We're ready to go.
Okay.
and the city is not asking for the 10 plus acres that are on that tract.
Right, you're just asking for-
For just the 3 acres
Right.
that is pretty much the footprint of the property as it exists. And so, previously, the lease arrangement was $10 a year. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of the city or anything, but would it be possible for, even if you did a 50-year lease, you would only be looking at $500 if you did a long-term lease. So if we're looking at a purchase versus donation in lieu of the lease, would that be something that would be a reasonable consideration?
If I can just add a little bit of input, when we talk about splitting up that 10 acres, that seemed to be where, when I spoke with Fulton County about parcels and tracts, that would be our biggest hurdle, trying to split up an existing parcel, having it rezoned, having to have it surveyed. That was what they told me, because that was never a subdivision. It's considered reserved land.
Right.
And so I went in and printed off each one of the parcels that made up the old equestrian center and the animal shelter. But when I went to Fulton County, they said that breaking these up would be an act of Congress.
And there's no rules that says, if you want to give us the 10 acres, that's fine, but to keep adding money to the cost because we're getting more acreage is not, that won't work, because we don't.
And in my mind, that would be able to keep it at a more affordable price, because we wouldn't be incurring all those additional costs of trying to split it up.
Right.
Our fence is basically within the 2.8 acres, and that's where we're going to do everything within other area on the outside and so forth goes with it, that's fine.
Something for our attorneys to maybe look at, and we can try to provide some documentation for you, but this is something that Sid has done in the past. We've got a Boy Scout camp that had some leases done that converted into taking over, so there is some history about some of this. If I can maybe provide that and us give a deadline of 2 weeks to reply. Can we all agree that that would be a reasonable amount of time? Y'all, yes?
Fine with me.
And you think we can do what our little research we need to do within a 2-week period on our end?
Yes, I think we can.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
so-
you very much.
Now, the other thing is once we have all this back, we can hold a special meeting of the commissioners
Yes.
to vote on this.
Yes.
So never,
No, I'm fine. The only reason I'd like to get it settled, first thing, like he said, we want to finish it by the end of the year. And
Right.
one of the improvements, we've got it all ready to go, and the guy's waiting, and he has a crew ready, and so if I keep messing around, I'm gonna lose
Right.
him off to another project, because he's waiting to hear back from us.
okay.
I promise you I will follow through.
Okay, thank you very much.
We'll make sure we follow through.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda is D, land sales review, research, and process. We're still waiting from our attorneys on this, aren't we?
Well, we aren't. We actually had put together an offer and acceptance letter. We went by our pricing that we had approved at the last meeting for SID-owned lots. And when we went back and sent out our first offer letters, which we actually have 2 lots that are ready to purchase, and we have 2 more that are backups that's been ready for several months, just waiting to hear back from us. But here's the bottom line. When you look back and you read the settlement agreement, what the settlement agreement talks about is an 80-20 split. So when we talked about the paying the back taxes, the 2 years of the assessments, the quit claim, and all the fees, it far exceeds what we could collect as 20% of that $800. So in talking with the attorneys, what we believe that offer letter should say, and in this example, these 2 lots were an $800 sale price. The lot price would be reduced to $200 plus whatever fees needed to be paid. So they would pay us the $200, that would be the 20-80 split, and then the rest of that money, which will end up being right at $800, would cover the back taxes, the 2 years of assessments, and the fees that are incurred by doing the quit claim, recording it, and stamping it. Did I say that correctly? Joey?
Yes, to a certain point. So what we've got to make sure that we don't do is sales price. And settlement agreement speaks of proceeds related to the sales price. It doesn't mention expenses or any fees associated with the price land. Other than the
Uh-oh.
the administrative cost, 20% administrative cost within the settlement agreement. And so what we're going to do is an offer and acceptance, we're going to create a third line that includes the expenses for each lot. And so the person who is going to purchase a lot will know what those expenses are, and that's going to be in addition to the sales price. If the sales price, is lower, so that we can reduce some of those expenses, that's fine. But the expenses will be a separate, distinct line item in each sale of any lots. And we know what each lot costs and what the expenses are on each lot. So we will be able to go back and when they make that offer to purchase the lot, that offer to purchase will have to include also paying on those expenses.
Okay, so the way that I understood that is that when we have somebody gives us a parcel that they're interested in, I'll do my homework immediately to make sure that foreclosure came from us, go through the COSL and see what the outstanding taxes are that we would have to redeem to be able to sell the lot. So I think we've got our process down. We'll have a new offer and acceptance letter that I'll send back to our guys, and hopefully those are going to be our first 2 lots sold.
All right. Okay, you're up, Betsy.
All right. Cushman Electric has completed their 6 new pedestals at the Base Park Campground. As I said earlier, we had a little diagram over there of a Google map that kind of shows where the sites are now, where we'll offer tent camping. This is a huge upgrade. Just today, we had our first new camper pull back in, and they are so excited about having the upgraded plug-ins and that capacity. I did do some research with what some of our surrounding campgrounds are charging, and although we still have some ways to go before we can compete with those, I do think it would be appropriate to discuss having some slight increases on our rates. And I put that in your suggestion. The camping fees for the guests would go from 22 to 35 a night. And property owners who are now at 15 would go to 25. I would say that 90% of our campers are guests. They're not property owners. But that still would be a slight increase. I can tell you Crown Point's charging $89 a night. But they get a grill, a fire pit, a picnic table, and a concrete slab to park and level their rig on, but everything else is just rock. There's no trees, there's no shade, but they have miniature golf. They have really nice bathrooms. They have a laundry facility. They have a walking trail. So they do have more to offer.
You guys want to make a motion to increase the fees?
Yes. I don't know. My thing is not working.
Oh,
His is flashing.
so hit the green button that's flashing. Now you should work, Joe. That's
Okay.
like mute. Now you should work.
Okay. So you need a motion then to raise the fees from $22 to $35 a night. And is that pretty well in line? I know that probably is not in line with the Corps of Engineers, or what are they charging?
I have no idea. I just kind of looked at some of our locals like Hardy and Loberg, and
Right.
you know, we don't have as much to offer them, so we obviously can't charge as much as they do. But I do feel like that we could afford a little increase, and that would hopefully boost some more work to be done there next year. And each year we're just going to get better.
So I'll make a motion, we increase the rates from $22 to $35 nightly for guests and $15 to $25 for property owners.
And I'll second that.
Need a vote? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Gitchagumi Beach parking lot has been something we've been talking about. I finally spoke to a gentleman from Delta Asphalt. We actually had some new property owners that came in to get their owner cards and had a good contact. And so I've taken some pictures, done a Google map, and he's from Paragould. He said he would try to get us a price together, so I need to move forward on that. I had hoped today that I was going to have something from Joe from the Mid-South renovations on the pool. He did not return my email, and I actually got an email back that said he's out of town till Thursday. So I'm not able to update on the pool. The Omaha HVAC update, y'all had already approved to replace the one over the auditorium. The concrete pad is what's holding us up. As soon as that pad is set, the equipment is here, they'll set the 10-ton unit and we'll start moving on that. Thankfully, we've been blessed with some cooler temperatures and the pickleballers have continued to play. What you will see in your folders is removing the remaining units off of the roof of Omaha. If we're going to try to move forward in the future and try to put a pitch on that, then those other units have to be replaced. And Cushman gave us another bid. I think you'll see it says library. I made some notes at the bottom because it would get the unit off the building over the common area, and we have no heating and air in the library right now, and that would take care of that issue as well. So that was one of the quotes for you to look at. The north course, some of y'all may have known, we were reported after that last storm 2 weeks ago that cottonseed tree that was ginormous, dead. Down at Raccoon Springs had lost some big limbs. It was a pretty dangerous situation. We went down and had to get that removed. They couldn't even climb it to cut it. They had to go up with a lift because it was just petrified. It was falling apart. We're still waiting on the drawings from Keeling. Y'all had approved the new pumps. The drawings, the purchase order number, all of that was part of what has to be done for them to order it. And I reached out to Jason on Friday looking for those drawings. That's what we're waiting on that one. Also, you'll notice in your folder, I made a copy of the balance of the irrigation note loan. It's written on, it'll be in the back section that had the second paper clip. It also shows our capital budget, our balance in our account for capital items. I think that's good information for y'all to think about for how we're going to pay for the new pump, what we still owe on the old irrigation, and what we're paying in interest on that. That's just for your review. South Course, I don't know if any of y'all have been to the South Course in the last couple of weeks, but we've been able to get all the rotted wood out of the fencing in front of the pro shop. The footings have been put down for the little deck to come off the restaurant door. And our deadline to have all those things in place and done is before our October 8th golf tournament that we're having there for our annual fundraiser. I did not make copies of the financials. I do that every month and leave them on the table and nobody really grabs them. So I did scan them. They are on our website. Always, if you have questions, please call and ask. I try to go through and make notes on variances. You'll kind of see my handwritten notes. If there's something that you want more detail on or anything I can give you more information about, please feel free. Our tournament updates, we had our Lions Club tournament. We grossed $4,199 in our course rental and cart rentals. So that was all profit to the course. We also have our Fall Ball Classic on October 8th. This will be our first fundraiser that Sid is going to do. Of course, any proceeds that are made from this tournament will go back into the course, into the capital account. And our golf committee is actually going to earmark what they would like those funds to be used on. And of course, our commissioners will have to approve that. But we've done really well. We're going to max out at 36 teams. We've got 2 spots left. And it's going to be a great tournament. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And hopefully in the years to come, we will turn this into a 2-day tournament. But right now, our budget is $10,000 profit. So that's what we're working for. That's our goal that we're trying to hit for this year. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, let's move on to new business.
Here we go.
Discussion of opening potential commissioners' boundaries, property owners who do not live inside the Cherokee Village. We were waiting for a review from the lawyers, weren't we?
Correct. And so that was a conversation that we had with Grant a couple of weeks ago. And Grant, if you want to speak on that, I think in a nutshell, basically what you had said is that we had adopted some policy that wasn't actually the statute. So we adopted the policy, the model of Holiday Island as how we would run our election. And in that policy, we put in there that a commissioner must live inside of the city limits of Cherokee Village. And so in our conversation that we had with Grant was that we haven't had anyone throw their hat in for this new commissioner position. And we have a lot of property owners that own property in Cherokee Village, but they live in Hardy, Highland, or Ash Flat, that is still the county, but is not inside of Cherokee Village. Grant, do you want to speak on that?
No, it's basically the qualifications for the commissioners. And as long as they are a resident within the boundaries of the improvement district, that is, they are qualified to run for a position. Whether, it's in a boundary of, so.
Oh, you froze up for us. So when we had a conversation about this, what you said was that the way the statute read is that the commissioner had to have interest. It didn't necessarily say that they had to live inside of Cherokee Village.
Right, it is a property interest. So anybody who has, a property interest, whether they live full time or anything else, it is a property interest in the district.
And did I understand correctly that since the commissioners back in November of 21 elected to use that model, that it would just be the fact of our new commissioners making a change in that policy and voting on it?
That's correct.
Okay, so that would be something else for the commissioners to determine if they think that that would help us to broaden our pool of candidates or not. As of today, we have 0 wanting to fill our open position, so a pretty thankless job.
Yes.
Somebody says, why don't you do your thing? Yeah.
Okay, number B, appointing someone to sign our quitclaim deeds with the title company. Do I have any volunteers?
I think that the way that it happened before, 3 of the 5.
Is that what we gotta have?
Yep, isn't that how we were doing it?
Yeah.
Previous to this, 3 of the 5 that need to sign. And that's how the offer letter would be set up. And when I spoke with Marcia at Ozark Closing and Title, she said that if we had a meeting and voted who those 3 would be, then that would be the name she would automatically put on the quitclaim for it to be the signatures.
Will we have to physically sign each one of them?
Yes.
Okay. Can we do that on a quarterly basis or a monthly? I know we used to go down like once a month to ALC to sign those.
Could we do it like when we sign checks every other Thursday? And that way nobody's having to wait more than a 2-week period for an acceptance. So they'll complete an offer. You will review. 3 of you will sign to accept. Then they will pay us so that we will go in and spend those funds on the fees that we've outlined that they will be paying for. And then we will have to sign the quitclaim. So it'll be 2 times that you'll have to sign.
Okay.
Acceptance and the fee.
I'll fill one of those places.
Okay, we gotta vote on it though, don't we?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion for volunteers for quick deed signing.
I'll be glad to sign, but I mean, that's just 2
I mean, the
minutes.
3 of
We
us
need
sign
3.
now.
Right, we all do it now, so what's that?
Okay, so the motion is that Susan, Joe, and David Neva will sign the quitclaim deeds at Ozark.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
good?
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Need a vote? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, on to C, appointment of the new commissioner and the interview process update. We are waiting for the county and our legal to give us a proper reply to how to handle this. It seems there's a conflict in interpretation of the statute on this, correct?
That is correct.
So-
That's a fair statement.
I thought I heard him say something.
I think he was coughing.
Oh.
Do y'all want to speak on our changes that we're waiting and looking for? Or?
Sure, I can speak to that. So So my understanding that the last meeting, there was a process that was discussed and put in place about when, potentially when some commission, a new commissioner, for an open slot. And once we started looking at that, there is a specific statute that concerns the appointment of a successor commissioner that has been vacated, that commission seat has been vacated. Cherokee Village is in a little bit of a unique position in that it's so old that there are amendments and other statutes that potentially could apply to the SID related to this. But given that this statute that's on the books right now has been out there for 40 plus years, and given that this is the more democratic way of doing things, it has been our recommendation that SID follow Arkansas Code Annotated 1492-209B, which lays out how you do the process for getting
Froze.
and that process requires a letter to the county judge, letting the county judge know that there has been an opening. The county judge will hold a public hearing, which then will allow whoever wants to be that commissioner to appoint themselves, nominate themselves, or will vote at the public hearing, and that person will become commissioner of the board. And so, as of the day, I believe that Betsy has sent that letter to the county. And there should be a public hearing within, I believe, when the statute reads, public hearing should be within 30 days of the day for that new commission slot.
I can add to that I met with Judge Moore today, and he has asked that what we report in our meeting tonight is that he and the county attorney are doing some research, and they will get back to us as soon as possible with how we need to move forward. And so, right now, that's where we stand.
Okay, let's move on.
The county judge, it will become their process to follow. We'll follow their lead going forward in this aspect of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move on. The salvage sale. Betsy.
Salvage sale is something I would like to do. We have so much junk, it is not even funny. We have operating items that are no longer used. We have inoperable items that are no longer in use. I think that it would be a great way to just raise some funds for some of these expenses that we have coming and do some house cleaning. What I propose, I spoke with George, our maintenance guy today. He's going to take our personal property list from Sharp and Fulton County, and he's going to go through and put his eyeballs on each and every one of those items, and we're going to try to catalog them. We can take a picture, tell you the date, the serial number, what they say the cost or the value is, and then we can move forward and have some type of an auction. I would say kind of like A.L. Hudson does, but maybe we use Bates Art as our location.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Move forward?
Yeah.
Move forward.
Plan, not doing anything, we'll just move forward with planning. We'll talk about it again the next
Yes.
meeting.
North Course Hayback. Well, I'll get it spit out.
Also in there, that's going to be another Cushman bid. So I think we talked last month when our air conditioner went out and we pushed our meeting. What we found is that there are several units in this building that are out. Only one of them is operating for this room, and what we're missing is the 10-ton unit that sits outside. They also found 7 old units in the attic that we need to get out of the attic. And part of that quote, which I think that we should just save the $5,000, but they added $5,000 in there to move all of that stuff out of the attic, move it down to where it's accessible so that we can maintenance it and do the things that need to be done that's not happening up in the attic. I think that our maintenance guys are more than capable of crawling up in the attic and doing what they need to do, and then we put on a service PM type thing to where it'll constantly be serviced where it hasn't in the past. I mean, we pulled a filter out of there that wouldn't come out of the hole. It was at least this thick, molded.
Have you thought of getting quotes from anybody else?
Richards is supposed to come out and look at it. These have been received. I just wanted to share those. I will have another quote before it gets hot. One of the things in that quote is our stacks for our gas completely rusted through, holes through them. So we've got to get that done. If we don't do anything else, we've got to make sure we get that done before we have some gas exposure.
Of course, we already know about Omaha Center. They got to have a crane for that one. So.
And they do. They've got all that in place. As soon as that concrete's set, then that work will take off. Everything's in place. And we've already talked about the other Omaha quote.
Yeah.
So, should we move forward?
And do you, I don't think you need to get another, well, you can get another quote, but I don't think you have to, but do
Well,
you?
I say let's go and let Richards
Yeah,
give us a quote. I don't think
Right.
they're going to be able to help us with Omaha because
Right.
they don't have the crane and all that
Right.
to get it off.
We understood
But let's
that.
let them look at this one and give us something comparable to it and move forward. Cushman's has been really good. I'm impressed with their business model and how they do business and how they respond, and they've done some real quality work. They did the campground in less than 2 days.
And it looks nice.
It does, and they cleaned up on themselves and everything was operating. I mean, they've just been really a good company to work with. We're lucky to have them.
Okay, it's that time. Y'all get to talk to us. If you want to step up to the mic and
say your
announce your name and where do you reside or what property you have there in the village.
I have a question for your lawyer since he's sitting there.
There you go. This one's for y'all.
You quoted law, I'm assuming that 1492-104, correct?
No.
No, 1492-209. 209.
14209?
No,
14-292-209B.
B.
That's the House Bill 1448 about filling the vacancy.
Okay, then I misunderstood him. I thought he was talking about the law about suburban improvement districts. That's at 14-92. You're actually talking about a bill.
Right.
Okay.
That modified that. It modified section B of 1492-209.
Because my question is, where can a person find 1492 printed? Because in the last two copies that are sold to municipal officials through municipal league, they're not listed in that book anymore. What you see is a 1493, which is a POA and not an SID. Where can you find the law that it can be researched?
So, yeah, there is a copy. You usually locate a copy on the internet. If you go to ArtPlay.
I've seen that one, but I didn't know, I was confused because it wasn't in the municipal books that we purchase every year from Arkansas Municipal League. So the last two times I couldn't find it, so it's still law, it's still in place.
Correct.
Yes.
But you just have to use the internet version and not what isn't in the book anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still part of the code. Go review it and
Thank you very much.
So this section of the code has been around for at least since 1981.
Right.
And so previous, even before that, this section of the code was passed in 1941. And so this has been on the books for, almost 80 years now. The big amendment was in 1981. And then there have been subsequent amendments to that since. But 1492-201, and then those statutes that come after that, they should all be there. I don't know why they wouldn't be printed in the municipal league summary that you received.
Right.
But you can find those online at the Arkansas Legislature website, and I can send a link to Betsy that she provided to you if you'd like.
I would appreciate that, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Jimmy here at number 1, Sausage Circle.
I was wondering if the city, it sounds like with the animal shelter, it sounds like it'd be a good of interest to everyone. So why, are there any situations where the city and SID join together to promote something such as this? The animal shelter. It sounds like it would be an advantage that you couldn't get a lot of politics into it, you know, it sounds really excellent for somebody to combine forces in sometimes, which I think would be advantageous. It may not be a reality sometimes, but I realize that as well. But do we want someone from outside that doesn't live here to be on the board, and we can't find someone to run for the board? Is that correct?
Okay, I'm sorry, did you move from animal shelter to something else?
I did.
I need a period in there someplace.
Well, I was done with that, so
Okay, so what did you say after that?
well,
Do we really want to choose from outside of the area for a board person?
Oh,
if it wasn't common knowledge, I don't get on the computer a lot, but it's not common knowledge that there is one, that maybe something that would need to be addressed or something sent out somewhere, maybe something, if you would like to do that. That's all.
Can I speak on that? My mic is on, but I don't know what's going on with my mic. Anyway, just personal insight into that. I want to follow the law to the T. So if the law says that we are to accept applications from people with outside of Cherokee Village that live in the county or whatever, that don't live here full time, then I guess I would succumb to the law. But my personal opinion is I feel like that it is to our advantage if they live in Cherokee Village, because there is so much that goes on here on a daily basis. You see the surroundings. You're here every day. You go down the same roads every day. Some days you go down different roads and you can see what's happening. You can see the homes and the state of our roads and the state of our lakes, and you can see everything that's going on. And then when you eat at the local cafe, you have hundreds of people that come up to you and tell you things as you're eating, and you never get your eggs or the salsa eaten because you're hearing SID stuff. And but that's important, because we're hearing comments from the residents. And I just think it would be so valuable to have somebody that lives here personally. That's just my personal opinion. But I want to follow the law.
thank you.
Go ahead. Mr. Harwood.
I'm Jim Harwood. I don't know if any of you people know somebody. I don't live here. I live in Memphis. I have a house outside of Cherokee Village. I've had a lot in my family since 1964. We kept that lot. It was bought for me to be able to play golf out here. And I've been playing golf out here since 1964. As far as having a commissioner that doesn't live here, I don't think y'all do. I think y'all have somebody who lives right here. I mean, I see a lot of this place left and right, and I see all the things going on and whatnot, but I would feel bad if somebody like me was to run it. But even though I'm here a lot, it just wouldn't seem to be the proper thing to do. And I thought I was coming to a golf meeting. Oh well.
That was last week. Okay, anybody else?
About the animal shelter land, my name is Dan Draper, 101 Cherokee Road, lived here
Speak into the microphone.
19 and a half years. Dan Draper. The animal shelter land, can't quite get a grip on why there would be an objection to selling it at a nominal cost if it's not donatable. That would be like a minimum amount of money. And we can do a fundraiser if they need it to get that amount of cash. I don't get the objection to doing it selling it. Somewhere in the back of my mind is something about a conditional sale deed. If you were worried about what's going to happen to the land 50 years from now, something says to me the conditional sale of land is you have first option to buy it back for whatever they paid you. If that makes any sense. The lawyer can tell me I'm full of it, and there you go. So, anyway, my 2 cents.
Thank you, thank you. Y'all are doing great. I haven't needed my timer yet.
Anybody else? Okay, I need a motion. Are we going to go to executive session? Do we have anything?
I don't have anything urgent that we would need to talk to without
I don't.
having Ron with us, so
No.
it's totally up to y'all.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second? Those in favor?
Aye.
We adjourn.